This cop's got a brand new partner and a lot of explaining to do. Welcome to Happy Suffer. This movie's got 2 taglines and like 13 different titles. I don't understand.
Yeah.
I mostly want him to explain why Gnorm is a different height every time I see him.
Because he's played by a different child every time, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's because he's played by 12 people.
There you go.
Jesus Christ. Right.
Oh, I'm
I was
sorry.
not expecting a real explanation.
Sorry. Only 11 because one of them is just the voice. So, my bad.
This is episode 318 of Happy Suffer. I'm Raina? Is that who Norm was trying to fuck?
Yeah, Rena.
Fuck. I don't remember anyone's name.
Be the 7th Norm.
Yeah, I'm Gnorm 7.
Oh, that's a good one. Frank Charles Lucas the Third.
Oh, actually, I'm Reggie. Gotta represent Robert Zadar.
Katie, just be Zadar the character then.
Yes, I am. That's me.
Fucking so mad. I'd maybe so mad.
Confused the shit out of me when it was happening. I was like, why are they calling Robert Zadar by his... Wait, they're not talking about Robert Zadar. The other guy's just named Zadar?
I love that.
So mad.
Like, one of the trivias is the main villain's name is Zadar, while the character who plays his henchman's real name is Robert Zadar, which is pronounced similarly. 5 people found that helpful.
Well, if you couldn't tell from all this talk, because I'm assuming everyone has seen this masterpiece of a movie, we're talking about 1990 ?
Yeah.
A gnome named Norm. A fucking banger. One of the most unhinged movies I think I've ever seen in my life.
Shit slaps.
Look, this is not a 5-star movie, but this shit got 5 stars out of me. This is fucking... just the premise and, like, seeing what Norm looked like, I was like, alright, this movie's gonna be dumb as shit. I can't wait to watch it. I was not at all expecting what this movie was when I started watching it. Norm, horny as fuck.
That was the most surprising bit.
I was like, what the fuck is happening when, like, he just started eventually talking about popos and big roundies.
Puka with popos.
I can't imagine pitching this movie to anybody and getting the money for it.
And they were like, hell yeah, I love big roundies. Go for it. Godspeed.
I can only imagine, when did Dark Crystal come out? I know that's, 80s, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Dark Crystal was, 6 years before this was filmed, so that probably wasn't even, in anyone's fucking mind. I was talking to Katie before you jumped on, Kit, where I was just like, I fucking am so mad that there's, no information about the making of this movie online. Because I need to know every fucking detail of how this was made.
Seeing that it was, one of the last things Vestron did before they went bankrupt, so they just dumped it. I was like, oh, okay.
Well,
that's why.
One of the only trivia things on IMDb is that it was filmed in 88, released in 90, and almost immediately pulled from theaters, and then released again in 92. And I think that's probably what the difference is between, the Upworld title and the Gnome Named Norm title.
Yeah.
But also, I discovered that you could buy a, I think, German DVD where this is called Gnomo Cop.
Yeah, good.
And I was
Gnomo Cop.
way better title. And I think in some markets it was just promoted as Gnome Cop, and I was like, I would watch the shit out of Gnome Cop immediately. A Gnome Named Norm, I was like, yeah, I could wait. But if I saw Gnome Cop pop up on streaming, you could not hold me back from watching that.
if they were like horny gnome cop,
Yes.
I mean,
Just
that could save Vestron from bankruptcy.
right. If they, I want to live in the timeline where they released this as horny gnome cop and just it became the top grossing movie of all time. Yeah, this movie is a fucking banger.
So I found a interview
With Gnorm?
yeah, that is talking about it's like written maybe by one of the people who wrote it or something, because it starts out with having sold our first screenplay mystery date and a successful biddings from Miss Cher and I were now the flavor of the week in Hollywood. Blah 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 blah. They're talking about they got a call from their agent if they would be interested in a quick punch-up on a movie that was already in pre-production, and it was going to be directed by Stan Winston. They're super excited about Stan Winston, right? And it says, it's a buddy cop movie. He explained several weeks later they flew there. The movie was called Upworld. It was written by John Watson and Penn Densham, who are also producing... they met everybody for the premiere of Pumpkinhead. And they watched the movie. It was awful. Even the creature effects were nothing to write The Great Pumpkin about. I glanced soberly at Terry as we filed out. I don't know what to say. It's simple. You'll have to lie. It was crap, and you'll have to do better than that. Blah 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 blah. Upworld was about a cop and a gnome, the only witness to a high-profile murder in Central Park.
That was not Central Park.
Stan Winston was building a $1 million animatronic puppet for the gnome, specifically designed to be so skinny it couldn't just be a guy in a suit. He proudly showed us the character sketches and a clay... I don't know what a maquette?
Maquette, yeah.
Maquette with fur stuck to it. It looked like a drowned rat.
It literally just looks like a creature from Dark Crystal. Just like really a slightly cheaper one, I guess.
Yeah.
It's
like a more like if all the creatures from Dark Crystal lived under a bridge for like 2 years.
I have to say,
it's the Asylum Films version of fucking Dark Crystal.
Yeah, I wasn't like at all sure what to expect, because literally all I've seen is the one cover that says Upworld, where it's like Anthony Michael Hall and Norm like doing the
Pretty Woman fucking
yeah
poster.
Like arms crossed, leaning against each other, even though Norm only comes up to like his butt or whatever. And like this movie is is it PG or PG-13? It's just PG, I think. So it's like very obviously like a kids movie, but like like a gross innuendo kids movie, and the puppet is like
horrifying,
disturbingly expressive,
real creepy.
The expression in its like the expressions that it can make when it's like making fun of Anthony Michael Hall's character or whatever, and the teeth, his mouth and teeth were very disturbing.
As much as like, everyone got bent out of shape about Sonic when they released that first one where he had like human teeth or whatever, this is worse.
So
it's the stretched out face.
Yes, with anytime you see him
for me.
From profile, I was like, what the fuck? Why does he have a xenomorph head?
Yeah, well...
Although he looked cool as shit with that hat on, I will say.
Yeah, very cool. Very good disguise.
Fucking nobody on that beach fucking noticed him. They're just like, oh, look at this old kid.
So I think that whoever is writing this is one of the writers, because they're talking about like writing gnome jokes, and then they're talking about how there's a scene where in like the very beginning where they're like, where's Casey, Anthony Michael Hall shows up and he's like, oh, there's my Zagnut bar, and apparently there was like I cannot even imagine trying to be a writer, because there's like this whole like conversation back and forth about how Stan Winston doesn't know what a Zagnut bar is, so they think it'd be funnier. Like, oh, you should say it's a Snickers. And they're like, no, Zagnut is funny with the K sound and this and that. Snickers is not funny. It's product placement, blah, blah, blah. What, sir? This is going off the rails.
Obviously, it needs to be a whatchamacallit.
Yeah. Actually.
This fucking movie rocks. That's like... My only takeaway is I need some boutique Blu-ray label to release a box set of like failed late 80s and early 90s like human teams up with a fucking animatronic or somebody in a dinosaur costume movies immediately. So I get this and fucking, what was the Whoopi Goldberg movie with the dinosaur?
Oh, Theodore Rex.
Yeah, I want all of these to get like good releases with like a fucking 8-hour behind the scenes fucking documentary of how they were made. Because like this needs more information out there about it. Because
I need to know.
Yeah,
I need to know everything. Who?
Like
just who?
One of the things on IMDb just said that there was like a original like more emotional ending to it, and that it like screened somewhere, and it like no one liked it, so they just made the fucking joke ending. And I want to know what the emotional ending to this was.
Yeah, like what possibly?
I can only assume it's Gnorm died, or just they had like their fucking sad goodbye and he left.
The fucking cops shoot Gnorm.
Yeah. I mean, he does kind of look like a dog, so it probably would happen.
Somebody has a photo. I'm just like Googling images now because I love the image of like the guy in Gnorm, the Gnorm puppet showing that like handshake or whatever. Somebody took a picture of Gnorm and put it next to Steven Tyler.
Yeah,
and I gotta say,
no difference.
Pretty accurate.
I gotta say, you can't tell.
You should just take both of those and just put like the thing at the bottom of Pam being like, they're the same picture.
Exactly. That's actually literally what I was about to say. All right, I see 6 differences right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, oh, here's a video. Here's a picture of him in his little one of his little disguises. I don't know. I feel it's hard to describe what this guy looks like unless you see him, because like while he does look like something from the Dark Crystal, but the Dark Crystal I feel like are a little like more
they look
feminine
a little
faces.
I was gonna say, or like slightly more human looking.
Yeah.
His
Norm's face is like really elongated outward,
It's
and he
horrific.
kind of almost looks maybe a little bit like a kangaroo person, like, but just he's got really soulful eyes in a disturbing way. I just can't really reconcile
yeah, not in a sweet
my
kind
feelings.
way.
No.
The first time I saw him, because all I'd ever seen of this was just like, you know, the Letterbox poster, but I never really like made it big or whatever. The first time he came on screen and I saw his face, I actively said, "What the fuck?" out loud.
Yeah, it's tough.
The most horrifying thing I've seen doing this podcast, I think.
Yeah,
and I watched
what a
Ant Farm
reveal.
Dick Hole. I saw giant ants come out of someone's dick.
Yeah, he does it multiple times, but whenever he pretends to yawn, it's literally horrific. I can't overstate enough how scary he is. And again, I'm pretty sure this is probably supposed to be a children's movie.
I don't know. Like, this is another one of those ones where it's just like, from the outside, it seems like this is going to be like a kid's movie.
Mm-hmm.
But like, none of the jokes are kid friendly, and people are getting shot left and right. Like literally, like almost immediately, like once a woman shows up, Gnorm wants to fuck so bad.
Well, and the other thing too, I said this I think off mic before we started recording, is that this is another one of those movies that I have a hard time figuring out who it's for, because and it's also like Gnorm is very obviously seems to be, aside from him being terrifying, like something that you would think would be for a kid's movie, right? And then if you're going to say it's a gnome named Gnorm, that's like very like quote unquote kid friendly. But the jokes are not. Also, everybody in the movie is like a full-grown adult. They're also all cops. So, like, none of that is kind of like conducive to a children's movie. But then again, it's also PG. So it's like confusing as to like, who is this for? Us, I guess. But
only us.
Yeah.
Long ago, I don't know if anybody remembers, but there was like a time period, I think I was still living in California, where we used to read like the taglines for the movies, and I just have to read these because these are the first like 5.
Where did you find
No.
5? Because I only saw 2 on IMDb.
Underneath storyline, I see them. So it's Gnome, of course. Then male pubic hair.
Oh no, not taglines. You're doing the keywords or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
I meant the keywords. Yes.
I was like, why is the tagline pubic
I wish.
Well, it's male pubic hair, male rear nudity, which like you do see.
We're so close
Norm's
to seeing
butt
Dom.
cheeks. Yeah.
Sad.
Pubic hair and then crotch grab. So this is why I brought it up, because crotch grab. There are so many like crotch shots in this movie. Like Gnorm literally goes for the crotch every time.
Yeah,
like
Norm basically gives somebody a rusty trombone in this movie.
one of them is Slime House. I like that. Ooh, embarrassing male nudity.
Slime House.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what that is. I guess maybe he says slime house at some point, but I know
he calls people slug slime a lot, which I liked, but I'm not really sure what slime house means. I'm gonna click on it.
We should bring that back.
Okay, this makes a little bit no. Okay, here's the top movies for Slime House. Beetlejuice.
What?
Then Beetlejuice underneath that. Then
What?
you will never guess. Number 3. Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Number
Is that
4.
Even out yet?
Yeah,
No.
I think so.
No, I don't think it is.
Well, it's there. Then immediately underneath that, Despicable Me 4, and then Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. So,
Fine.
not really sure what that means, but
What?
IMDb.
I thought I knew what a slime house was.
well,
I don't have any idea.
All right, Katie, do you want to do your soda talk?
Oh yes, I do.
This is gonna be so
Katie's
bad.
drinking slime.
Yeah, I might as well be.
I have a Coca-Cola Slime House. No, what I have is the Oreo Coca-Cola collab, which I can't imagine is going to taste good. They did have the Coca-Cola, not to be confused with Coca-Cola Oreos, but I felt like that was a bigger commitment, so I did not get those.
Yeah,
but,
that's a whole package.
yeah, I don't. Okay. Weirdly, it smells like it smells like wet dog Dr. Pepper.
Woof.
Oh.
All right, here I go. Okay.
Seems good.
Now that I've tasted a little bit more, it kind of just tastes like a really, like, mostly what I'm tasting is what that would be considered the filling, so it's like vanilla,
Yeah,
you know?
that's kind of what I assumed.
So it smells chocolatier than it tastes. And it kind of just tastes like a really flat cream soda. However,
How was the wet dog hit?
I don't taste wet dog, thankfully. The aftertaste definitely is giving me chocolate cookie, though, so I'm a little conflicted.
Aren't they only like Coke Zero though?
Mm-hmm.
Which
Is a really weird choice.
Take the two sugariest things imaginable, like a Coke and Oreos, and just make it Coke
No
Zero.
sugar.
Well, and I will say, like, I saw one video of somebody trying this, and they really overreacted. It's like...
Yeah, that's all fucking videos now. You like to take any sort of videos of anyone trying anything, it's the most exaggerated shit.
Yeah, like, did they pay you so people would try it? I mean, you know I had to try it. It's whatever. It's very whatever. And sometimes, like, the more you drink it, the more flavor comes through, and I feel like I'm tasting the Oreo less the more sips I take.
Well, now you have to steal, like, 2 Oreos. The Coke Oreos.
Yeah.
And try them.
You know what?
What we should do for these is have a taste test where you have that, and then you just buy a Coke and you crumble up an Oreo and put it in it and drink
Right.
it.
Yeah.
See which
'cause
tastes better.
What I was gonna say is like, is this supposed to
Chunky
taste
Coke.
like you ate an Oreo and then drank soda afterwards, which is kind of like what I envisioned it tasting like. And this to me just sort of tastes like somebody put, like it tastes like a vanilla Coke, you know?
Like, I appreciate that Coke is just, like, doing weird shit, I guess.
Yeah.
But, like, it's all terrible.
Yeah.
All of them are bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unlike a gnome named Norm,
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
which is all good all the time.
Definitely.
Alright, if you're done sipping
I'm
on your
done.
Oreo, we can fucking dive into it.
I wish, actually, now that I did have Oreos.
I have peanut butter pie Oreos.
Oh. Interessante. Okay. Upworld, a gnome named Norm. The Adventures of a Gnome Named Norm.
Gnomo Cop.
No Mocop. I'm sure there's more out there. So this movie starts with somebody. It's Norm. Spoilers. Little
It's Anthony
grubby, little grubby hairy hand plucking a crystal from a tree.
I'm
hand.
sorry, a crystal?
I'm sorry. Well,
Was it a dark
Lumen.
crystal?
It's a lumen.
Yeah. Yeah, duh. Everyone knows that. My bad. But plugging a crystal out of a tree-shaped hand. Wait. Hand-shaped tree.
No, you're
A
right
tree-
the first time.
A tree that looks like a claw clutching a stone, and he pulls it out, and then he's like walking through tunnels and stuff, and it's real treacherous because he doesn't really seem like he can walk through tunnels very well, and he almost falls, and he drops his lantern, etc., etc.
It's upsetting when you find out that his main job is a tunneler, and he's pretty bad at
Yeah, yes, I would agree. And this is all happening over like the credits, and then the last credit that we see is introducing Norm the Gnome as himself. So, it's one of those.
He's out there.
it. You know, if this, like, blew up, Norm would have hosted, like, SNL.
Oh yeah,
And I want
He would've done
that
rounds.
so bad.
Woof.
he'd have a Twitter account.
Right.
I saw today that apparently they're getting rid of, like, the block function, so that's going to be good.
Oh, great.
Oh,
Love
great.
that.
I don't have a bunch of people blocked that I hate, so that's fine.
They're coming back.
Just fucking make that shit 4chan at this point.
Pretty much. Okay, so now we cut to the LAPD, which is the Los Angeles Police Department. And we did say that this is a cop movie, so here we go.
Yeah.
We're at the
Finally,
precinct,
talking about good things.
and everybody is basically looking for somebody whose name is Casey. They can't find him. Where is he? Oh my god. And they're basically like shit-talking him because, as we will find out, he is like a jokester, and he can't take anything seriously. And he shows up. It's Casey. It is Anthony Michael Hall.
He looks like he's like 12 in this still, somehow.
He does, but like
Also, like 48.
yes,
Yeah.
It's really astonishing how he does that, and he looks like more. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not. Time is weird. When I saw I always say mugshot. When I saw his like IMDb picture, I just like could not reconcile with the fact that that person was Anthony Michael Hall, because like I just didn't realize that was him by his face. Like I thought he was a different actor, and it really was like running me through it because he looks like a separate third different person in this movie to me.
He's one of those people that like child him and adult him look so drastically different.
Yes, and then this like weird in between, like I don't know how old he was, 30s,
I mean,
20.
no,
late
he's
20s?
probably early to mid 20s. I would think. You got to figure he was doing like Breakfast Club and shit was the 80s. This was filmed in 88.
Yeah, he just looks so different. Anyways, it's him. He's the clown cop, so to speak. And he starts talking to this woman named
I
Samantha.
fucking wish he was a clown in this. Just
I
a
mean,
clown and Gnorm fucking bombing around town looking for crimes.
No, just fucking.
Yeah.
You had to stop at fucking.
Gnomo clown.
Yep.
He shows up. He starts talking to this woman named Samantha, who he very obviously has a crush on, but she's kind of like all business in the beginning, and they call her Sam. He's talking about like, she's like, where they're partner cops at this point, and she's like, where were you? We've been looking for you, and I'm like covering for you being gone. He's like, oh, I was undercover. Like, don't worry about it. And she scolds him for not using bringing his police issued gun with him, and he's just like, I don't like guns. They're scary. And she's like, well, you get used to it, buddy.
LAPD, come on.
That's right. I basically, this is all you need to know. I wrote Casey is a goof about.
Yep. Correct.
He is literally just a goof about, but the LAPD police captain, I call him police chief, but I also call him captain, so just get with it, right?
Same thing.
Yeah. I assume so. I don't actually know. Basically is like, you are a goof about, and I can't take you seriously, and also you're really unreliable. However, I need you for this really, really serious, important case.
The most baffling thing in this movie isn't even Gnorm, it's that this dude we're supposed to believe, passed
Yes.
like whatever tests like to become a cop.
Yeah.
And
while
he's
his
like
outfit
22.
His outfit here while he's talking to the captain's insane. The like long greasy hair under his baseball cap.
It's
like
he also
it's art.
wears like a snakeskin tie, and he uses that to be like, a cop wouldn't wear this tie, and I'm like, I don't know if anyone would wear that tie, to be honest with you, but
I don't know,
yeah,
only
so
cool guys would wear that tie, if you ask me.
well, so he's basically like, I need you for this like really, really serious case. So now we meet like the main bad guy, whose name is Zadar. His real name is not Zadar, by the way. And
Sad.
His name is Eli.
Eli Musk.
Yep.
That's like really actually what I was thinking.
Norm, do the world a favor. Take him out. And basically people are showing him a bunch of like diamonds, like I guess in like the late 80s, early 90s, a bag of diamonds was still worth something. And then
What a time.
Yeah. So then Zadar places a phone call, and the phone call goes through to the LAPD because essentially, and I'm not really also, even if this, like, let's just say this movie was for children, I don't think children would even be able to follow what's happening here, because it's like, I don't know, Casey is like, Casey.
Oh no. Oh
yeah,
no.
not great. Casey is like going undercover to be this like liaison with Zadar to like sell the crystals, I guess. I don't know. So he like calls the LAPD and is basically, he gets his henchman Reggie, not to be confused with Zadar, to call and be like, the abandoned zoo at midnight, children's playground. And they're like, he's like, okay. And then he goes, have a good night. And he just like hangs up. And I was like, okay. So they've like set up this sting, I guess, where they're like, Casey is pretending that he's going to buy these diamonds from this guy so that then they could arrest him, I guess. So Casey goes to the park, and we basically at this point only see Gnorm as like a silhouette because it's like dark in the park. And he is like digging up, and he pops out of a hole, and he's like looking around, right? So this is like, Casey's got a wire on. Sam and the other cop are in the car basically listening to hear that he is like fine. Casey's singing a song or whatever, and then somebody in the shadows walks up behind Casey and hits him in the head, knocks him out, and takes up the briefcase that is actually full of money.
He is the most annoying person on earth in this scene.
Yeah.
Like, I know they have a line that they say that, like, he's supposed to talk the entire time so they know he's safe or whatever. But I was like, oh my god, just fucking please bash this dude's brains in.
Yeah, so he's like going around a merry-go-round and like making up a song about how Sam and that other detective are like dating or whatever, which is like really strange considering as he's like in love with her, but that's fine. The guy in silhouette who knocks Casey out and takes the money also goes over to the guy who has the jewels that are supposed to do like the exchange or whatever, takes the bag of jewels and gives him a suitcase, and the guy is like, oh wait, I'm supposed to count and make sure all the money is here or whatever, and then the suitcase just fucking explodes.
Hell yeah.
They do that.
Yeah, that's why you should never have a briefcase.
That's true. That's why they're
all
like,
they're there for is smuggling money and exploding. That's
right.
all they do.
So that's why they're not really like in fashion anymore.
Yeah, if you don't put money in them, they explode. Actually.
Yeah. So if you don't have money, you just don't.
Yeah, don't get one.
Suitcase. Yeah. So after the explosion, like obviously the operation is unsuccessful. The police captain is like very weird because on one hand he's like, oh, don't worry about it, this kind of thing happens, like missions get ruined sometimes, but then he's also like, I fucking hate you,
go away,
you're a piece of shit, you're off the case, go home and take a nap or whatever, you blew it, kid. And I'm like, those are opposite things, but that's fine. Also, you're police, but it's okay. Casey, instead of going home, decides that he's going to look around the area to try and find evidence. Yeah. And he sees what he thinks is the bag of jewels up in a tree. I'm not really sure either way how the bag got up into the tree, but he basically climbs up the tree to get it. He jumps down from like really high up in the tree. And I was like, okay, cool stunt, I guess. And
hey, it's hard to make a child jump out of a tree like that.
At this point, he is like, he's got the bag and he starts walking, like toward his car, and there's like very obviously something behind him, and it's like this thing where like he takes steps forward and somebody's standing so close behind him, like mimicking his steps, that when he turns he doesn't see him. We know it's Gnorm, but like you can't really see what Gnorm is at this point still. So he gets in his car, he drives home, and then once he gets into the garage, he's like hearing noises, and he like turns around, he's like looking around, it's like dark, right, because it's nighttime, obviously, and he can't see anything, but he just goes, okay, listen up, I'm in no mood for this. And I'm like, honestly, I felt that. I've said the same thing when I hear creepy crawling noises.
Every time
you
start a movie, you're like, I am in no mood for this.
Actually, so fair. And so then he's like being really, really quiet, and then all of a sudden Gnorm just like busts out of the car and tries to strangle Casey. Again, he also sounds very scary. He like snarls and roars a lot.
Like the very beginning before he actually starts saying words.
He's just snarling.
I literally thought I was like, please God, tell me the rest of this movie he just does not talk.
Not so.
Sad.
He's like so scary. He's just trying to strangle him because he's trying to get the pouch from around his neck, so he's like pulling it and like strangling him. And Casey ends up knocking Gnorm out and bringing him inside in a cage. This is when we finally... Go ahead.
This was the first time I was like, he's way too big to be a gnome. Because, like, he tackles him, and he's like 5 feet. Like 5'2". It was like Tom Cruise tackling Anthony Michael Hall. It's like that is not a gnome.
Yeah.
What if it was Tom Cruise?
It might have been uncredited stunt double Tom Cruise.
Incredible.
This is where he got his fucking love of doing stunts.
A gnome named Norm. Nomo.
That's actually him later in the movie, hanging from the side of the building.
I think so. Oh yeah. I see it.
I think we're onto something here.
Tom Cruise is like, shit. Okay. Yeah, so Casey brings Gnorm, oh my god, Gnorm inside in, like, a cage. And this is when we finally see him clearly. Again, scary looking. And he's just, like, snarling at him or whatever. And Casey is like trying to ask him questions like, who are you? What are you? Like, what's going on here? And realizes that Norm is just trying to get the pouch from around his neck, and he's just like, okay. So he calls Sam, and he says, Sam is sleeping. It's like 3:45 in the morning, and he's just like, I need you to come over here because I need to show you something. And he's like, I need you to see my little hairy thing.
Totally normal way to
Norm
say this.
Ooh, Gnormal?
I think you mean Gnormal.
Yeah, he's like, I need you to see my hairy little thing. I don't know what to do with it. And she was like, I think you'll figure it out. And she hangs up on him.
Like, I love dialogue like this in movies where it's just like, no one talks like this. No one would ever phrase it like this.
Going out of your way to get made fun of.
To be like cryptic as possible and also innuendo-y. Yeah. So, this is when they're basically just like staring at. She hangs up on him, right? Norm and Casey are basically just like staring at each other, and Norm starts yawning to trick Casey into also yawning, and they just like yawn at each other until Norm pretends to fall asleep, and so Casey feels safe to fall asleep also. As soon as Casey's asleep, Norm just breaks out of the cage and starts walking towards him.
Is that what happened? I guess what I thought happened is he was like had some sort of power that he made him fall asleep.
No, I think I don't think so.
Just tricked him.
Yeah.
Would that work on somebody?
Yeah,
No.
I thought it was a power. It turns out he's just fucking dumb.
I don't think so, because he doesn't exhibit any other powers. Like, he can dig.
Well, that's his only power, is making people yawn themselves to sleep.
He's got a fucking good power of looking cool as shit, dressed up as like a fucking beach dude.
A baby, a beach dude, rain, whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I thought he just was pretending to yawn and be tired.
Like this movie,
He does do it like 3 times.
Like
though,
literally, you know how like some movies on Wikipedia they'll have like a fucking massively detailed plot breakdown. This is like a paragraph for this entire movie.
Yeah, I feel like that is all you need, honestly.
I disagree.
Yeah.
Okay. So, either way, he falls asleep and Norm breaks out of the cage because, he's got normal hands. He can just do that. This is when the phone rings because Sam calls back and Norm hides. Casey wakes up and realizes that Norm is not in the cage anymore and is like, I have to go, hangs up on her to try and figure out what's going on. Norm trips Casey and then chokes him out to get the pouch. But he can't escape because, as we find out, Norm does not understand doors or how doors work.
They
or
still
glass.
trick me sometimes.
Look, same.
I mean, fair. So he essentially just runs and slams into the glass door multiple times and can't figure out. This is his downside. This is his weakness.
I mean,
is glass doors.
He understands the important things in life, which are popos and roundies.
Popos, yeah, pukas, popos.
Amen.
He's so goddamn stupid.
Yeah, give me I'm not even kidding. That article I was reading to you earlier, the entire last half of it was them arguing about Zagnut, and then it was the end. And I'm like, give me something about why you wrote Pukas, Popos, Roundies. What is this?
It's just so funny because I've listened to the commentaries on like all of the Simpsons DVDs and shit, or even just other regular kind of comedy shows, and they'll talk about it took us 18 hours to finally get this joke to where it was at, and I just picture the writing room of this movie just no, popos is clearly the funnier word for boobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not bobos, popos.
Popos with a P. P is a funny letter,
Yeah.
Okay? That's why it's
True.
puka with the
K's.
popos. That's right.
I mean, it's the same argument as the Zagnut thing.
I mean, fair. Yes. The Zagnut is funny.
It makes me laugh every time.
Kid just crying at the end of this movie when all the fucking Zagnut wrappers are on the ground.
Yeah.
Every time I hear Michael Keaton say Zagnut is Beetlejuice. Fantastic.
Okay, fair. All right, fair. Slimehouse. It all comes back around.
Zagnut is the real Slimehouse.
That's right. All along. Okay, that's the new shirt, and nobody is gonna know what that means.
Welcome to Zagnut's Slime House.
Yeah, exactly.
Please
Please
draw that.
I don't even know what that means, but I'll try.
Yeah, and then like
do fucking Norm staring at a pair of popos in the slime house window.
I'll do okay. You know those shirts that are like a cartoon bikini, like person wearing a bikini that you wear? It's like that, but it'll be Norm in the corner,
just
like looking
literally
up.
just do that where it's the bikini, but it's just like a Zagnut fucking bikini. Like it's just like the brand name for like, you know, on like the boobs. The popos,
Yeah.
I mean.
The popos.
Yeah.
Oh my god. This is a nonsensical conversation.
We could just make the bikini one, but it's just on the like the top part it'll say popos, and on like the back of it, on the back of the shirt it'll be the butt part, it'll just say roundy.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna be millionaires.
Somehow that writer is gonna see it and sue us because he has like roundy popo puka like flag.
Yeah,
so if it shows up online.
Trademark.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Okay. Norm doesn't know how doors work, so Casey so this is when Casey reveals that he has actually switched the quote-unquote crystal out of the pouch, and what Norm has is not the crystal, and he handcuffs himself to Norm. This is when he calls Sam back, and basically this time he's like, okay, listen, this part was baffling to me because he's like, hey, I have a witness, somebody who was in the park earlier, and he's at my house now. And Sam's just like, okay, great, bring him in the morning. Why do you have this like witness to a murder staying at your house at night? Like that seems so weird to me.
Yeah, that's just protocol.
I guess, yeah. Why don't you just crash at my house until we can get your statement? He's also like trying to explain to her what he looks like, and he can't figure it out. Basically, he says that there's an issue because Norm looks like an elf, aka a little guy with big ears. Just a little guy, you know? And she's just like, okay, whatever. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. And then Casey's like, okay, I'm going to bring him to the park. Will you please meet me at the park? And I was like, what is even happening here? This is not protocol.
I would be like, bring him to the fucking precinct.
Police
like,
station.
what are you doing?
Yeah.
But he's like, please meet me in the park. So they go there, and this is where Norm sees... He's basically, like, enamored with what he's calling the upworld. So Earth, the upside of Earth. He's, like, looking up in the trees, and it's, like, beautiful and stuff. There's this, like, guy who is walking a dog that he can't control. Shocker. And the dog scares Norm into, like, scampering into a bush or whatever. And the only reason that this is important is because when Sam shows up, she doesn't see Norm because he's hiding. But Casey is, like, asking him what he saw that night. And Norm, at this point, has started to speak English, kind of. Where he can say, like, phrases. So he's like, give me lumen, is what he keeps saying. And at this point, we don't know what that is or what he's talking about. And so Casey's like, listen, I'm not going to help you unless you help me. You witnessed what happened last night. Like, tell me what happened. And Norm says that he saw kaboom, no eyes, and giant. And scream, I think.
Yeah, something screamed.
Yeah. So those are the things. And Casey's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Sam comes, and there's like this thing where Norm hides behind her, and every time she turns around,
oh my god,
he can't see her. This is like, he's standing right behind her, and he's like eye level with her butt, and they showed this shot of him looking at her butt and then like covering his mouth as if he's like in awe of her butt. And he pretends like he's going to squeeze it, but he doesn't. And she basically is like, Casey, like, I'm tired of your shit. Whatever. And she just, like, gets mad and leaves.
This movie would have been way better if, like, the central plot was Norm got arrested for, like, sexual harassment or, like, assault.
Yeah.
For, like, grabbing this cop's butt.
I don't know.
Just the rest of the movie is just him in jail, and it's just like the fucking.
It's
this.
It becomes like My Cousin Vinny.
I was gonna say I was going more like Heath Ledger Joker when like Batman's interrogating him.
Yeah.
Wow, the movie we could have had.
We should remake. I'm gonna fucking figure out a way to like. I'm gonna see like if this fucking puppet is on sale on eBay or something and buy one.
Okay.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be out there somewhere.
I'm gonna do shot for shot remake of just that scene.
So they leave the park and they're driving around in Casey's car, and Norm is like, giant, no eyes, and basically it's like pointing at every human dude wearing glasses. And Casey starts to realize that what he's talking about is that he just saw a tall man wearing sunglasses. And so that he's figured out, like, okay, this is like the guy that I'm looking for. They go back to Casey's house, and when he walks in, he realizes that the house has been ransacked. And all of a sudden, a dude comes in and like punches him and like pushes him up against the fireplace. And like, Norm is still handcuffed to Casey, so when he gets shoved into the fireplace, Norm just like flies and slams into the wall.
It is pretty funny, like when he just gets like flopped around.
It is funny because also the guy like doesn't seem to notice that Norm is there at all, and like Norm isn't small. Like he's small, but he's not so small that like, what did you think was happening here?
I gotta say, everyone takes very quickly to seeing this fucking horrifying creature.
Yes. They're just like, okay.
Especially later when they have to see him nude.
Yeah. You can, if you Google that, if you just Google Gnome named Norm, you can see the pictures of it, and it is...
butt. It's pretty hot.
It is quite disturbing. There is a photo of it from the front, but there's like something strategically placed in front of it. No, Norm's little hairy friend, if you know what I mean.
Sad. Let Norm hang dong.
I honestly was fully expecting him to at that point.
God, they should have. This would have been a 6-star movie.
So, I think I got a little confused as to like who was who. I think this is Zadar, the bad guy, and he's essentially just like, oh, you snake, you were actually a cop this whole time, and like whatever happened is like your fault. And Casey's still trying to pretend like he's not a cop, and this is the thing where he's like, oh, I'm not a cop, would a cop wear this tie, hee hee.
Do we see what happens to Robert Zadar in this movie?
Oh,
wait, yeah, never mind. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah. So they're basically like arguing back and forth. Zadar sees the pouch around Casey's neck and also mistakenly thinks that this is the pouch full of the diamonds. So he takes it, and this is when Norm launches up from the ground and bites directly onto what I assume was his gooch. And bites real hard and snarls. Either way, he's biting onto his crotch, and this is like the first crotch thing that happens.
He's literally like
first of many
biting his butt and grabbing his crotch.
Yeah, that's like
hey,
his only thing.
I'm not gonna say I would be a good fighter, but like I might try this. If I'm ever in a fight, I'll try this.
I could do that. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If I need to get away from somebody, like I'm going right for it. But I'm just saying.
First instinct, bite him in the butt.
Yeah.
You learned anything from last week's movie? Got bite him in the butt.
Bite him in the butt.
Yep. So obviously Zadar is freaking out because he's getting assaulted by a creature, and he ends up running out of the house with the pouch. Norm calls Casey a slug slime, which I loved. And finally, Casey uncuffs them from each other and is basically just like, what is going on here? Because he's like, this is your fault. This is when we find out that the crystal that Norm has is called the lumen. And basically, he needs to retrieve the lumen because it is going to save his people. Essentially, without the lumen, his people will die. And they're basically finally starting to have a conversation where they are realizing what's happening here. And Casey's like, okay, if you help me by finding out who the guy was at the park, I will help you get this lumen back or whatever. So for some reason, well, whatever. They basically go to the beach. There's like a boardwalk. There's like a market on the boardwalk because they're going to look out for Reggie, who is the henchman of Zadar, who is Robert's Zadar. It's a lot of
not confusing
words.
At all.
A lot of Zadars.
Yeah, and Casey's basically like, we need to find Reggie because we can follow him to where Zadar is and get the lumen back. So they're doing a stakeout, and this is where we find out that Gnorm also likes boobs, which is what he calls popos. There's like a woman wearing a bathing suit, and he's like, ooh, nice popos. Whatever.
Immediately like, yep.
Great.
He's gonna love
this. So they're still doing the stakeout. Casey gives Gnorm a hot dog, and he throws away the hot dog and just eats like the wrapping paper of it or whatever, and he also eats cardboard.
Yep.
Great. He's just a little trash eating guy. Yeah. Casey asks like what happened to Norm's people, and Norm is like, I'm not going to tell you, it's a secret, and basically makes Casey do a loogie handshake.
Oh my god, so gross.
To like literally vile.
There's so much liquid comes out of this puppet. It's like an SNL sketch when they have to throw up.
Yes. And then they also handshake, and there's like a voluminous squelching that happens. And it's also like
it's my new death metal band.
Okay, that should be a shirt. It just do death metal font that says voluminous squelching.
Okay.
And just like we'll put like the fucking Predator handshake on there.
Yeah.
Wow, we're getting a lot of shirts out.
Yeah, we're
of
gonna be
this
so
one.
rich.
Pookie, Reggie, Papa, yeah. Wow. And I'm not even sure why he makes him do the handshake, because like, who's he gonna tell? Also, he's a gnome. I don't know. Anyways, so they do the handshake. This is where Gnorm explains that the lumen is basically his people's sun, and every 10 years somebody has to bring the lumen up to the surface and charge it in the sun, and then that way when they bring it back down, it'll act as the sun for their crops and they can grow food and stuff. This is when Gnorm tells Casey that he is a quote-unquote gnome, a gnome named Gnorm, and I was like, is this really correct? And because then Casey, this is my favorite joke in the whole movie, and it's so stupid, but he says, yeah, I'm a gnome named Gnorm, and Casey says gnome a few times, and I was like, are we really like
I wish
doing this
went the rest of the movie.
But then Casey says, and if you really were a gnome, you would know that the G in gnome is silent. And Gnorm goes, no, it's not. Which gave me like real whiskey, but like I thought it was so funny.
It's so fucking funny because it's it is actually a pretty good joke.
It is
like
best
using a word where like that, like it wouldn't even start with a fucking G to begin with.
Yes, I loved it so much. It was great. The whole movie was worth watching just for this one joke. And now I will not be able to stop saying no, it's not. So this is when they like have this like conversation or whatever, right? This is when Gnorm starts yawning again, and again tricks Casey into yawning and falling asleep. I don't know. Gnorm gets out and basically strolls the boardwalk to Lowrider.
I mean, you can't have a movie about a character like this without having Lowrider in it.
I don't think you can. And this is also
sense.
when I realized that Lowrider is way older of a song than I thought.
Yeah, 70s.
Because I was like, I did not know at all. And so when this
40s.
scene happened, I was like,
Lowrider Model T.
Just do like big swing version of fucking Lowrider.
I would listen to it.
There's no way that's not a fucking thing already.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I just like had no idea, and I was like, "Wait, was this song even out when this movie came out?" I'm so confused. The answer is yes.
They debut songs in movies like Guns N' Roses with Terminator 2. Those
Yeah.
Lowrider with Norm the Gnome.
I think that's what happened actually. We're in an alternate timeline where Lowrider existed before this movie, but in reality, in the real timeline, it didn't. So
in the good timeline where everything doesn't suck.
Exactly. Lowrider was written for Norm. So, yeah, he gets out of the car. He like puts on a disguise, right? And to Lowrider, he's walking around, checking it, seeing the sights, and being in awe of the ocean. Casey finally wakes up to a gun being pointed in his face, but it's just Norm having a gun for some reason. And they happen to see Reggie, the henchman, at the same time that he wakes up, and they follow him into a butcher shop, which this is probably the grossest butcher shop I've ever seen.
That's what they all look like.
Yeah. Casey does a bit, which is just really stupid. And during this time, they have brought a disguise with them where Norm is dressed up as a baby girl. And Casey confronts Reggie about, being like a crime guy or whatever. And Reggie pretty much immediately like beats him up and throws him up against the wall or whatever. He looks over. Norm is just like sitting in the middle of some produce eating radishes, wearing like a lacy like baby dress and bonnet. And Reggie is like, "Oh my god, is this your child?" Or like whatever. "I love kids. How can you be bringing your kid into this situation?" And starts like scolding him for like having a kid in a dangerous situation. I'm so sorry. I don't know how. I think that Casey even says like, "Can you see correctly?" or whatever, because like, again, it's Norm wearing baby clothes. He literally looks so scary. But Reggie's just like, "Oh yeah, I love kids." So he basically puts Casey on a meat hook and like pushes him into a like the butcher room or whatever, and gets on the payphone to call Zadar and say like, "Oh, we got Casey here. He's a rat," or whatever. This might be the most... It happens twice where people are on payphones, and this might be the most disturbing part of the movie to me, almost, other than the yawning. Because while Reggie is like getting on the payphone and calling his boss, Norm climbs up Reggie and is like stroking his hair and like touching his face or whatever.
Yeah.
And Reggie seems just not bothered by this at all.
I wouldn't
He's
be
just
either.
like...
It seems very tender and nice.
No, I hated it. It was just so fucking weird to like watch it. I don't know. He's just like, whatever. And Zadar is like, "Okay, take care of Casey." And Reggie's like, "Okay, no problem. I've got him on ice." So this is when Reggie has his gun. He's about to go shoot Casey, and Norm basically jumps up behind him and shoves a meat hook up his butt?
Yep.
Question mark.
That's what I took it as.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Reggie is understandably distraught by this, and also falls into a vat of like run-off water and slop, which was literally heinous to behold. And then Norm actually also shows that he has super strength, because he basically just like lifts Casey off the meat hook using his hands. Okay. And then they run. Luckily, when Norm was caressing Reggie's ear, he happened to watch him dial the phone number that he calls. So they go outside, and Casey uses the payphone to get the address of the location. And again, Norm is like... Casey's like holding Norm, and Norm is like stroking his hair. And I was like, why? Please stop. So they show up to Zadar's like secret hideout, which is a abandoned theater. They immediately just walk right into his office, which I was like,
yeah,
all right, maybe.
I feel like if you're a major crime boss, that's probably not. how it works.
Right, and also, it's funny to me because Norm is like, I need a disguise, and he puts on, like, a raincoat, and I was like, just to walk into an abandoned building, I don't really know if you need a disguise, but it's fine.
I feel like half the movie he hasn't really had a disguise or a very good disguise, and no one has seemed to really give a shit about him. So
everyone
totally,
seems pretty chill.
Because he's also, like, wearing disguises over top of his, like, underground bark clothes. So it's like, and it's, I don't know, it's ridiculous.
I got the worst news. Red Hot Chili Peppers covered Lowrider.
Oh, no. I thought you were going to say that Norm died.
No.
I did too.
Norm could never die.
Norm joined Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah. Anthony Kiedis is now dating Norm.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Norm's only 17.
Yeah, see, I'm surprised Norm's that old if Anthony Kiedis is dating him.
That's fair. Gross. Norm is in our hearts eternal. I don't think we have a choice either way.
Yep. I'm going to get a Norm tattoo.
Okay. Oh.
Tramp stamp.
Yeah, I was going to just Norm's
eyes.
You need a tramp stamp of little Roundy.
Yep.
I don't even know when that happens or if I skipped it at this point, but essentially he's talking about her, like, butt cheeks.
No, yeah.
Little Roundy, just so you guys know.
I don't remember if it was, like, it happens earlier in this. It's either, like, after he tries to grab the cop's butt or while they're at the beach.
Yeah, I can't remember.
It happens a couple times.
Yeah. He loves it. Okay, so they immediately walk into the crime boss's office, and he starts shooting at them, and they run. And outside, like, Zadar shoots at them and then runs out the back. He pops Casey's car tires and gets in his car and drives away. This is like... This is the scene where, like, I can't imagine that this movie was hard to write, because this is the most, like, slapsticky thing to happen in this movie, and it's just like, of course this would happen. Essentially, Casey runs onto the street, sees that his car tires are flat, and then absconds a car, which turns out to be a hearse that is leading a funeral procession.
I mean, it writes itself.
For serious, because then there's, like, a 10-minute scene where there's, like, a huge car chase because Casey is chasing Zadar in the hearse, and everybody else in the procession are speeding to keep up with the hearse. And they're like, they don't think it's weird at all or whatever. And the whole time, Casey is screaming, calm down, it's all right, at Norm, who is, like, in my opinion, not really reacting at all. So I found that the weirdest part of the scene. And so there's, like, a huge car chase, which ends up in a bunch of the cars crashing or whatever. At one point, Norm hides in the casket and asks why there's a dead body in there, and then says, "Upworld crazy."
Yep.
And I felt that.
He's not wrong.
At the end of this car chase, Casey, like, skids to a halt so fast that the back of the hearse flies open and the cast flies out. And the cadaver is, like, laying on the side of the street. And this guy's like, help me, and is giving CPR to the dead person. And there's, like, this, like, yuck scene where Casey, like, looks at the guy, points to the casket, and then the guy has, like, all the, like, funeral makeup on his face. And he's just like, oh, man.
This movie rocks.
Really insane.
This should be in every movie. Somebody making out with a corpse.
Yeah, I agree. What a good Samaritan, though. While this car chase has been happening, Sam and the other police detective or whatever hear the report of, like, the car chase or whatever. So they show up and catch Casey. Meanwhile, Norm has continued to follow Zadar, but gets scared of all the loud noises. Poor guy. Sam is like, okay, what the fuck is going on here? And Casey's like, I can't really tell you because I spit on it. Like, basically saying that he did the Bloogie handshake, which was his promise to not tell anybody, like, what's going on, which is really stupid.
Just, again, this movie could have been 20 minutes long if he didn't talk like a fucking dummy.
Yeah, fair.
True.
This is when the police captain is like, I don't know what is going on with you, but you're suspended. You're off the case. Because there's like this whole thing where like, Casey was saying he had a witness and they're trying to get to the witness. And then he's like, oh, just kidding. I don't have a witness anymore. And the cop's like, yeah, you don't have shit because you're suspended.
How did this guy...
I don't know.
Just fucking... How would this guy function on a day-to-day basis?
And also, like, why would the police captain, like, put up with him this shit so long? Like, he's very obviously not a really
the
good
police
cop.
captain is, like, 2 weeks from retirement. He's getting too old for this shit.
Yeah. He's like, I don't care, do whatever, crazy shenanigans.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, Casey is suspended, but not arrested. It's fine. Finds Gnorm, and basically Gnorm is really sad because he's like, he's scared, and Casey like feels bad about like having lost the lumen and everything's his fault, and like, don't worry. This is when I forgot to say earlier that when Gnorm was telling Casey about like the lumen and having to save his people, he told him that he was a warrior gnome. And this is the part where Gnorm admits that he's not a warrior gnome. He's just a tunneler.
JK.
And he's scared, essentially. He's not a warrior. He's scared. And Casey feels bad for him. So he's like, no, don't worry. Like, it's fine. I'm the one that lost the lumen. I'll help you. And Norm's like, oh, no, it's not lost. Like, I followed that guy. I know where he is. So they sneak into this guy. Again, literally walk right into Zadar's apartment. Like, he's like the worst criminal ever. And basically Casey is like, okay, give me the lumen, whatever. Zadar's trying to be like, I wasn't because Casey asks him to scream. It is the most terrible sounding scream I've ever heard. I don't know what was going on with that guy.
Good.
It's so fucking weird. And it reminds me of that scene from The Office when they were playing what was that game? Bullets and Bourbon.
Yeah, when Oscar's doing the voice.
And Oscar's like, the plantation.
Nailed it.
It reminded me of that. It was so scary and weird. Anyways, and I was like, why is he doing that? It's because Gnorm had told him that he heard somebody scream, and Casey thinks that if Gnorm hears the scream again, he'll be able to be like, that's the guy. And Zadar's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't there. Why would I have broke into your apartment if I was the one that had the crystals and the money this entire time? Like, I'm looking for them also because it's my property. And Casey was like, okay, that's fair. That's actually really sound logic. Why didn't I think of that? And let's see. And Casey's like, Gnorm, you said that this guy was the guy in the park. And Gnorm was like, I lied. And I was like, what? I don't really understand what's going on at this point. But essentially, Zadar has the lumen and is threatening to like throw it off the balcony if Casey doesn't put the gun down. So Casey does, but then Gnorm attacks him, like literally lunges at him and is snarling and growling and shit. And I'm telling you, it's so scary sounding.
Yeah,
he's like a freaky little guy.
I would not be stoked if that was happening towards me.
No, absolutely not.
So while Zadar and Gnorm are like struggling on the balcony, somebody from outside shoots Zadar and he falls over the railing, and it's a pretty good looking fall. It's like, I was expecting
incredible.
I was expecting them, I don't think it's wrong of me to say I was expecting to see them throw a dummy off the balcony, which is like not really what happened. And he also was like, oh, like does this weird yell on the way down. It was very strange. And Gnorm is like hanging off the balcony now. So, Casey is trying to like pull him up, but he's getting shot at or whatever. And, of course the police have come because they're called. You know it. I was trying to say the police are called, and also the police come because of the shooting. They arrive at the scene. Let me rephrase myself. They arrive at the scene, and he's able to save Norm and gives Norm back the lumen. This is when Casey is like, okay, you need to escape now. You have the lumen. Go back to your people. And Norm is like, no, like, Upworld is crazy. I need a friend because it's too crazy out there. I need you to help me. And Casey's like, okay, but you need to leave because if the humans find you, they'll basically, like, enslave you and do experiments and, like, try and find the rest of your people and they'll ruin it. That's what humans do. And he's like, okay. So there's like this whole bit where Norm tries to escape, but he can't figure out how to use the elevator. And then once he does, again, he doesn't know how doors work, so he just like runs into the door and the police captain is
so
there.
Relatable.
Yeah, honestly. The glass is just so clean, you know? So all the police are there now. The police captain has Casey arrested for murder because they're trying to say that he murdered Zadar. And Sam is like, I don't know what's going on here, but Casey wouldn't shoot or murder anybody. He's afraid of guns. And the police captain's like, here, take his gun. This is his gun. Why don't you go run ballistics on it and tell me that I'm wrong or whatever? So Casey is thrown into like the police vehicle and Norm is in there. And this is when Norm admits that he wasn't tasked with recharging the lumen. He actually just stole it because there's a girl gnome that he likes, but she only likes warriors.
Yep.
So he stole the lumen so that he could.
Tunneler.
He's just a tunneler, and he just did it so that he could come back a warrior, and the gnome would like him. The gnome girl Rena would like him. So there's that.
I wish we got to see what she looked like.
I know, right? Probably just him, but lipstick.
That's upsetting that they didn't do that. Like,
I know, seriously. Okay, so there's this long scene where they're booking Norm into the police precinct, and it's just all shenanigans. Because Norm says ACAB, and he won't listen to a thing they say.
Yeah.
Like,
a king.
They're trying to take his picture, and he's, like, ducking out of it. They're trying to, like, get his fingerprints, and he's, like, whoop, you know, it's just shenanigans. This is when Sam walks in on them doing, I guess, a cavity search of him? I don't know, but he's standing on a table completely naked. And she's like, oh. I didn't like to see it, to be honest with you. It was really disturbing looking.
Disagree.
Then the police chief interrogates Casey. And Casey, because he's like, what is this guy? How is he connected to Zadar in the park? Like, what's going on here? And Casey is, like, trying to get Norm free. So now he's lying and saying that he wasn't involved at all. And, like, you need to let him out and stop being an asshole. And the police captain is like, you can't talk to me like that. You can talk to your friends like that, but I'm your police chief. And I need you to tell me once. And it was, like, such a weird conversation. Yeah. He's like, I need to tell you. You need to tell me once and for all if he was a witness. And Casey's like, no, okay, no. And the police chief is like, I'm tired of listening to you. I'm tuning you out. And then turns down his hearing aid. And I was like,
damn.
What?
Serious.
Also, number one, I wasn't looking for it, but I didn't notice him wearing a hearing aid earlier in the movie.
It's also, like, weird because it's like, yes, clearly, like, people of all ages have hearing aids. But there's never any sort of, like, reference to it, and he's, like, 50. Like, it's like,
right.
They don't, it's not like he's being played by, like, what would typically be considered, like, an old person.
Right.
It's just a very strange joke.
Right, and there's not even any, like, offhanded comment about, like, he got injured, he got, like, a gun went off, or, like, anything. They don't even, like, and I'm pretty sure that they don't show, like I said, I just didn't notice it. So when he's like, I'm tuning you out, turns down hearing aid, I was like, what? It's so weird. But when he because he also...
Pretty baller, though.
He also...
I wish I could do
Power
that.
move.
I should just get, like, a... If I ever have a customer start saying something to me, I'll just be like, I've turned my hearing aid down and just, like, tap my fucking Bluetooth headphone.
Yeah.
I just turned my... Yeah, right? And, so when he turns it down, it emits this, like, high-frequency buzzing. that Gnorm refers to as a scream. And it's also weird to me because he's like, I'm tuning you out. He turns down his hearing aid, but then yells for the other detective to come in and like arrest Casey. And I was like, you're still, I don't know. I'm confused. Whatever.
Inside voice, you know?
Yeah. So the other officer escorts Casey out. And this is when Casey realizes that Gnorm is saying the high buzz of the hearing aid being turned down is the scream that he heard, and realizes that the police captain is like dirty. Is
it ever explained why this cop fucking hates Anthony Michael Hall so much?
No.
Like, I'm just assuming it's a fucking like because of the Sam character, maybe. Because, like, what we're getting to when, like, she's faking, like, she's gonna go on a date with him or whatever. But, like, yeah, I just realized I was like, they never, like, fucking give... Like, he hates Anthony Michael Hall so much. Like, he is literally like, I can't wait to throw your stupid ass in jail for, like, a crime you didn't commit.
Yeah, I mean, I assume it is that coupled with the fact that, like, Casey is obviously just like a fucking idiot clown guy, like I said, and that he's probably just like tired of dealing with him. Like, I would think. I don't know.
I bet there's like 45 minutes of like cut scenes from this movie, and I need to see all of them.
Probably. So Casey realizes that the police captain is actually dirty, and just to like reiterate, he's the one that showed up in the park trying to steal both the diamonds and the money. And Casey's basically just like, wait, stop. Like, I know that we don't see eye to eye, but I really need your help because the captain is dirty and I need your help to like get him or whatever. And the detective is just like, I don't fucking care. Shut the fuck up, and locks him up in a jail cell. Oh, no, Casey punches him in the face and then like tries to run through the police precinct punching people out, but like they very quickly overrun him and put him in jail or whatever. The police captain slaps Gnorm. Wow. And basically interrogates him, trying to be like, what did you see? I'm going to get away with this, and I'm not going to let this little man whatever. And he pulls a gun on Gnorm. But as soon as that happens, Sam walks in to try and talk to the police captain, so he puts the gun away and is like, okay, detective, watch him. So they go outside, and basically Sam is saying that she had the gun tested, and Casey's gun was the gun that killed Zadar, but the weird thing is there's no fingerprints on it, so they can't, and it's unregistered. So, like, essentially she's getting to the fact that he's been set up or whatever, and the captain's just like, okay. Gnorm does his thing again, where he just starts yawning until the detective falls asleep. Gnorm, for some reason, takes all of the detective's clothes off and then starts to go out the window. And the captain goes back into the office and sees that Gnorm has escaped, so they call the police dogs, and the police dogs are like barking and running all over the place, but Gnorm just tunnels down into the ground because he's a tunneler.
Yep. This is when they have like show all the fucking tiles popping up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense when they're on like the second floor of a building.
Yeah, definitely. So
a lot of room between floors.
That's right. Yeah, because they drop down into the parking garage later.
I mean,
whatever.
All makes sense.
Yes, definitely. Sam goes to see Casey, and Casey's just like, listen, I know that this is crazy, but the captain is the bad guy. He's the one that did everything, and you need to help me. Gnorm tunnels underneath the police station, and they're just kind of like, okay, I guess, and pops up like in the jail cell, like, hey. So basically Casey's like, I need you to like distract everybody so that I can escape and like figure this out. So Sam seduces the detective guy, and so that Casey can escape, and basically she like takes him over to like the break room door and is like, okay, I'll be right back, you just stay here and don't move a muscle. And he's like, okay,
suck on these Zagnut bars till I get back.
That's right. The police captain is preparing to flee, and Casey and Norm basically drop down into the parking garage somehow from where they are, and Norm sneaks into the police captain's car like right before he gets in the car and drives away. Sam comes to the parking garage, and Casey gets in the car, and it's like, we gotta go to the park. So mid drive, Norm just like attacks the police captain again, where he's like rah and like grabbing onto him or whatever. But the police captain just like knocks him out and dumps him out onto the road, and then there's like this like cutaway where like you think he's been run over. Like obviously we know he's not, right? Meanwhile, at the park, Sam watches guard at the car while Casey retraces his steps around to try and find the briefcase full of money, because that's like the big thing that's missing right now. Also, they like never mention where or how what happened to the diamonds, I don't think, but who cares?
I do.
They're trying to find the briefcase. Casey finds it underneath the merry-go-round thingy, and it's got the money in it, but the captain shows up at the same time, and they fight for a while. The captain ends up doing the typical bad guy speech, where he's basically just like, yeah, it was me. I killed Zadar and framed you, because I'm sick and tired of you. And also, I did all this for the money, because it's more money than I've made in 25 years.
Literally, just fire him.
Yeah.
I'm tired of you. Okay, fire him. He seems a pretty shitty cop, so like... It seems like a lot more trouble than it needs to be.
Right. So basically, though, like, he's trying to use him as a scapegoat at this point, because he's like, he was going to frame him for Zadar's murder, and then essentially he should just kill him, though, because, like, he was going to take the money and flee to Mexico and then fake his own death. That was his plan. And so the captain, yeah, whatever. Sam comes up behind him and hits him in the head. This is when they reveal that Casey was recording the entire bad guy speech, so they have enough evidence now to prove that he's the bad guy. But the captain pulls a gun. This is when Norm tunnels up into, like, underneath him and literally launches into his ball sack and knocks him over.
Cinema.
Like, so forcefully,
wrecks
he like
this dude's genitals.
He flies into the air, and it's like slow mo, and he's like, ah, like, essentially, yeah, he really knocks him over. And Norm, this is probably the dumbest part of the movie. Norm gets the lumen back, and also the captain's gun. And he says, "You die, slug slime." But Norm, which is great. However, Norm doesn't know how to use a gun, so he's just randomly shooting it. Like, he almost shoots Casey and Sam.
He's holding it sideways, so that when it fires, it goes sideways.
Yeah, sideways. And then he fires again, but the captain has set up and turns the gun towards him. So Norm literally blows himself away.
Hell yeah.
By, like, shooting himself, and he literally goes flying. He's like fucking in space. He goes flying so far.
I hope they shot him for real, like the puppet.
They probably did, honestly. But yeah, he just like blows himself away, which I thought was so stupid and funny. Casey punches the captain out. Then he runs over, and Norm's like laying there, and you're like, oh man. Casey gives him mouth to mouth. Okay. They realize that the bullet has hit him, but his skin is so tough that the bullet just completely flattens, and he's fine. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
At sunrise, Casey holds the lumen up into the sun to recharge it, and they're saying their goodbyes. Sam kisses Norm's cheek to be like, okay, be safe, and then Norm literally mouth kisses her for a long time, and it's pretty gross.
By gross, you mean hot.
Really disgusting. And they're just like, hee hee hee, oh, Norm. And I'm like, that's not okay. That's absolutely not fine. Casey and Norm just hug. And he's like, all right, be safe, man. And so Norm tunnels aggressively into the ground. and is gone, we think. Casey and Sam are just kind of like awkward with each other, just like, well, so here, just me and you, it's just us, yeah, hee, whatever. Gnorm pops back up as Lowrider begins to play again and says, "Hey, slug lips, something wrong with you? Make her toes curl." The way he says this is enough to give you chills. It's so disgusting.
It rocks.
Is the way that his mouth moves is like so disturbing. And so then they find gross. They kiss. Then Casey and Gnorm thumbs up each other. It zooms in on Norm's like still frame to Lowrider of him giving a high five or a thumbs up or whatever. Then there's like a little bit of credits, and then it cuts to the police precinct, and the detective is still standing in the doorway waiting for Sam to come back, and he's eaten like 12 Zagnuts.
Oh my god, that guy's got diabetes for sure.
Yeah, and that's the end.
What a perfect fucking movie.
I've got to be really honest with you. I actually have no idea how I felt about it.
I contemplated just being like, I don't know if I can rate this, and I was like, fuck it, 5 stars.
I don't know if I can either, and that's why I'm like torn, because it's just such a anomaly.
Give
like
5
I just
stars.
don't know.
There's too many 2 below for this cinematic masterpiece.
Gotta balance it out.
I will also say, if you're thinking about watching this, it is on Tubi, but I saw today that it's maybe they'll renew it, but as of our recording right now, it says that it goes off in 11 days.
Well,
so
either way, it's on like
probably
YouTube.
YouTube, yeah.
Like there's a bunch of free streams of it on YouTube.
If you want to watch it with 12,000 ads, hit up Tubi.
All right. Kit, are you excited for the Ice Nine Kills Art the Clown song?
This world is a never-ending hell.
What a fucking terrible thing to exist.
Like, just why? Why do we have to do this? There's no need.
We need it. It's the only good thing in the world is Terrifier. Katie, did you see there's All Real Monsters fucking figurines?
Terrifier crossover.
Yeah,
oh.
they're all Art the Clown, but
perfect.
Yeah, these aren't Funko Pops somehow.
I was gonna literally say, are they Pops?
No, they're just some sort of like, I can't tell. This thing doesn't say what studio they're from, so.
I love All Real Monsters.
Oh, maybe they're a Mondo thing.
Mondo?
Really sure,
yeah, I see this. $150.
Fake Mondo.
Yeah.
Sad.
R.I.P.
Yeah, well.
Fondo.
All right, Katie, what'd you watch this week?
Well, the new Halloween Baking Championship started, so I watched that.
Hell yeah.
I look forward to it every year. I love it. Then I just basically, I watched a little bit more of that Terrifying Places in America or whatever the fuck it was.
Terrifying Places.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Places Art the Clown goes to on the weekends.
Yes, actually. And I feel like I watched some other. I've been like randomly watching like documentaries that, to be honest with you, I can't even remember. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I watched so many like random stuff like that. I'm still watching Chimp Crazy because they're doing
weekly, or
whatever.
I'm still gonna watch that.
I think I the last time remember being like, it's not even that crazy, and then I watched the newest episode. Or maybe it was the last, whatever. And I was like texting Nathan. He was like, "Oh, I don't know. Is it actually crazy?" And I was like, "Actually, upon further review, it is actually really, really crazy. Like crazier than Tiger King to me, because I feel like Tiger King was more about like the goofy spectacle that was Joe Exotic and like his friends or whatever.
Right.
And Chimp Crazy is way more like, I don't want to say realistic because like I would never have a chimp. I don't know people who have them, but that it was like such a culturally relevant thing at the time, and it's like attainable for you to buy a chimp yourself. Do you know what I mean? So like,
sure.
That to me, and then the whole thing with like the documentary crew. I won't spoil anymore, but so I don't know. I think I reassessed that it is still really crazy. I hate it, to be fair. And then I watched like some stuff for a bonus episode we recorded, and then I finally watched Unbreakable for the first time.
The M. Night Shyamalan movie?
Yeah. I actually really liked it. I understand now that those other movies are out, that it's like connected in a way.
Yeah.
But I realized up until watching the movie, we watched it last night because I was like, oh, we should watch all of them because I've only seen like 10 minutes of Split and that's it. So I was like, oh, we should watch all of them. And Unbreakable was never available at the time. So then I saw it on there last night and I was like, oh, we have to watch it. I realized I had absolutely no clue what this movie was about.
It's essentially a superhero movie.
Yeah, but then the beginning is really confusing because there's like all of these comic book stats and it's immediately like this baby was born and its legs and arms are broken and I was like, what is happening here? So overall, I actually really liked it. I was surprised.
Yeah, it's one of his like better movies.
Yeah, I mean, definitely in my opinion, for sure. And I also like never really considered myself like a Bruce Willis fan, but the more that I'm like, I just rewatched what was that ghost one?
Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense. I just rewatched Sixth Sense, and I was like, maybe I do like Bruce Willis.
I think he's really good when he's not playing like a fucking 8,000th rehash of Die Hard.
Yeah, sure. But
he was fucking really good on like Moonlighting back in like before he became like a movie star.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was interesting for me to. So hopefully next we'll watch Split and then we'll watch Glass and it'll be great.
I haven't seen either of those, so see if you can convince me to watch them.
Well, I will say
good.
like, yeah,
I like James McAvoy a lot.
I was gonna say that's really the only reason that I was interested in Split to begin with, and then also Anya Taylor-Joy is in Split also, I think, and the new one maybe. So I was
she's in Split. I don't know if she's in Glass.
Okay, so well, either way, I was like, okay, well, I'm interested, but might as well start from the beginning. And I surprisingly liked it a lot. So there we go. I think that's it.
All right, what about you, Kit?
Let's see. Well, I went and saw The Substance, and The Substance fucking rips. I love the shit out of that.
This is the grossest movie you've seen this year?
Well,
like,
he just watched it.
Theatrically, I mean, yeah.
So.
to have been released this year, yeah, easily. That's because they don't make fucking gross movies like this anymore. But yeah, there was a couple of scenes where I was like, all right, this better be fucking weird or I'm gonna be mad as shit. And it delivered, and I was like, all right, I'm having fun. I'll say Tess went with me, like neither of us knew what it was about, and she is not a gross horror movie person, and the last 40 minutes she is just like covering her eyes with a blanket while I was like clapping like a fucking seal, cackling.
She's like, can we please leave?
The credits rolled, and I immediately was like, I am so sorry.
We'll go home, I'll fix it,
we
can watch Society.
Yeah. She's like, can we go see like a rom-com for the next movie? It's like, yeah, absolutely. You can pick the next one.
And then you said no, watch A Gnome Named Norm immediately.
We're gonna go home
That's
and
basically
watch
a rom-com.
I actually was gonna say,
Witches.
come to think of it.
And then I was in the rare mood to fucking hate watch something last night, so I watched Fanboys, which is just some of the most embarrassing shit I've ever seen in my life.
I feel like I've watched that like in
I was gonna say that
early
also,
2000s, but I don't remember.
But I feel like I'm personally mixing it up with something
I
else.
feel like there was this like weird like maybe 2-year period where like a couple sort of like Comic-Con like style comedies.
Yeah, like road trip comedies all came out.
Yeah, and like I can't remember if I've seen that or not.
Yeah,
the cast is crazy.
It's a ton of like very funny people that I like, and a handful that I don't. And it's just like, why are y'all doing this? Like, Seth Rogen popped up, and I was like, oh my god, what? And he plays like 3 or 4 roles.
Wow.
What's his name from Righteous Gemstones? Danny McBride shows up.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that whole crew.
I've definitely seen this, because I remember
Kevin
Smith and Jason Mewes being in it.
I didn't think I had seen it, and then Seth Rogen shows up as a Star Trek fan, and I was like, oh no, I have seen this. God. It sucks. It sucks so bad.
Will Forte,
Will Forte is really fucking funny in it too.
Every single time I'm gonna say someone's name, someone else pops up. Like, I can't even, I can't even understand what's happening with that.
It's a stacked cast. Like, they all went on to make, like, actually funny movies.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are y'all doing making this?
Sounds bad.
Yeah, it's real bad.
I don't think I'll rewatch that.
Better than watching that, what is it? The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, I haven't seen any of this fucking... I don't think I've seen any Star Wars movies past the original 3.
My friend made me watch it because I liked like Last Jedi. I thought it was really good, and then everything happened where they're like, oh, everyone fucking hated it, and they got J.J. Abrams in there, and he's like, I'm just gonna undo all the shit that happened in that movie.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to see that. And then, but he like forced me to watch it, and oh my god, that is some real dog shit.
Was that it?
Yep, that was just that.
All right.
Also, I bought Rock of Love on DVD for $5.
Hell yeah, I have.
Go to antique malls. You never know what you'll find.
I have, I think, the first 2 seasons of Flavor of Love and like the first season of Rock of Love, something like that. Whatever. Like, I think I have whatever was officially released besides I Love New York. I've never stumbled across.
Oh yeah.
All right. I watched a bunch of shit. I watched Justice League Dark Apocalypse War and Justice League The Flashpoint Paradox and Constantine City of Demons, and then some other fucking Batman movie for a bonus episode Katie and I did. I watched A Chinese Torture Chamber Story 2, which is really good. Not as good as the first one. Like, the first one's like fully crazy. The second one is a little more like melodrama-y. But features a scene where somebody gets fucked with a like scorching hot dildo, I guess. Huh. Seems bad, gotta say. I watched the Vinegar Syndrome put out Nick Millard's Criminally Insane and Satan's Black Wedding, which are both equally terrible and incredible. Criminally Insane I've seen half of because I realized the movie Death Nurse and Death Nurse 2 just uses a bunch of footage from it.
What a great name for a movie.
Yes. Death Nurse, incredible. I then watched Hobgoblins because I was like, gotta get fucking prepared for
weird little
guys.
Not nearly enough weird little guys, though, if you ask me.
Not weird enough.
I then watched perfect 5-star banger Manborg.
Hell yeah.
I was like, I should rewatch this after I finished the book. And then I followed it up with the bleakest movie I've seen in a long time, Dangerous Game, the Abel Ferreira movie. Which, real dark and upsetting.
It sounds right for Abel.
Yeah, it's fucking great. It's so good. But it's like Harvey Keitel plays like a director that's like he's from New York and he's going to like LA to like film this movie, and then like Madonna is like the woman in the movie, and like there's all of this shit in it that's like it's like a weird mix of like what is the movie and then what's like ideally like behind the scenes footage of the movie being made, but like a lot of it comes off as like you can't tell if it's like acting or if they're being like real in the actual movie that's being made and not like the movie within the movie. It's fucking a really interesting way of like a really interesting movie in like the way it's made, and like Madonna is fucking incredible in it. But like it's fucking, it gets real dark, which if you know Abel Ferreira, that's unsurprising.
Yeah.
So then after that, I just watched like a handful of the fucking hardcore movies I've gotten from Vinegar Syndrome in the last little bit. And then I watched A Gnome Named Gnorm. Just capping it off with a banger. And then I've had fucking Vinegar Syndrome's release of the Amityville Horror on in the background when we were recording. Because that movie sucks. But I got it as part of my subscription, so I figure I might as well have it on at some point. Like, their fucking restoration of it looks incredible, but the movie's terrible.
Yeah, too bad it's still the same movie.
Yeah. I am fucking endlessly baffled that this movie has the, like, reputation that it does, because it's not good. Alright, shout-outs. Katie, maybe a shout-out.
Your local library. No, I was on my Hoopla and I noticed that they have these John Carpenter Night Terrors comics.
Yeah.
Which are basically comic versions of like short stories. And there is one they did of this book. It's like a short story that I read last year called Sour Candy. I'm trying to remember what the name of the author was. He's got 3 names. Kellyanne Patrick Burke or something like that, which I really enjoyed. So I essentially just like downloaded all of the Night Terrors that I could find. Because there's like a Fall of the House of Usher one, and but I got them all from the library app, so I'm excited to read those. And then yeah. So both the library and that thing I just said.
Perfect. What about you, Kit?
The Criterion announced their Halloween playlist today.
Oh, did they?
So go subscribe to the Criterion channel. They've got a bunch of good stuff. They've got
take a look
big
at that.
Japanese horror list that they're doing, as well as practical horror effects.
Hell yeah!
And also, they're going to be streaming The Witches, which is a horrifying film.
I looked like
that Angelica Houston one.
Yep.
Okay, that's one of my all-time favorite movies.
It's so good.
I love
Scared the
it.
shit out of me as a child.
I looked at it like 2 days ago because I was like, oh, let's see what like horror movies are on here right now. But it was still like mostly just the like a bunch of shit I've seen and like the more. I mean, it's Criterion, so it's like clearly mostly like highbrow stuff.
Right.
But I was like, oh, I wonder if there's like anything sort of like Night of the Living Dead-ish on here, because I know they've had that like on there forever, but I'll have to look now that they got like whatever new stuff. Their Giallo section on there right now. It's pretty sick too.
Yeah. So their Halloween playlists the past several years have all been incredible. So I'm not disappointed with this one.
Hell yeah. All right. My shout. What were you gonna say? Something, Katie?
I said fun.
Oh. My shout out is I read the book Corpses, Fools, and Monsters: The History and Future of Transness in Cinema.
That's a mouthful.
Fucking super good. And super good.
Hell yeah.
Like, well, I mean,
hell yeah.
It basically starts.
I mean, of course.
Starts from like the beginning of cinema, going up to like literally the last movie they talk about it, and it is T Blockers, which I think came out like last year. But like there, there's like an entire chapter about like, in general, the sort of like big Hollywood take on things. So like Boys Don't Cry, and like the sort of like grief trauma porn version of like like they go real hard into Jared Leto and Dallas Buyers Club.
Yeah.
and like how shitty it is. But like, you know, there's like a whole chapter about like sort of like the Paris is burning documentary and kind of like actual like cool stuff. So I don't know, it was really good. I was surprised I had burned through it in like a couple days. It was really good. So I recommend that. And you could get it for free through your library if
Through your local
you're
library.
relatively poor like me. All right, Kit. What weird little guy movie we doing next?
Oh no.
All right, I'm gonna give y'all a choice here. So we can either do Munchies, not singular Munchie,
Yes.
but Munchies. It's very weird that those are two different films.
I know.
With the same general concept.
With the same
I
weird
hate
little
that.
guys.
Yeah. Or we can do a tangentially horror-related film. Full Moon features Pet Shop.
Ooh, let me see what Pet Shop is.
It is about some aliens that move into town and have a pet shop, and all of the pets are actually weird little alien
this poster
creatures.
is incredible. We're doing this.
All right.
I immediately picked that one because I'm pretty sure. Do you remember? Man, this was probably years ago. We did an episode where we were talking about, for some reason, like our favorite full moon movies, and we both had that.
And stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't watched Pet Shop in forever.
Hell yeah.
Literally since I was a child.
I don't think I've ever seen this, so this poster is fucking incredible.
It's well, and I immediately know Munchies. I don't like Munchie.
Well, Munchie and Munchies are different like different movies.
Yeah, for some reason. Not Munchie, the weird little guy in the leather jacket.
Oh.
Yeah, Munchies is like a fucking Gremlins ripoff sort of thing, essentially. One of those like, hey, Gremlins is doing well. What if we all made a fucking Gremlins, Hobgoblins, fucking whatever ripoff? I mean, we're gonna be doing weird little guy movies for a while, so I'm sure we'll circle back to Munchies.
Yeah.
I'm trying to Google Munchies, and it keeps coming up with, are you looking for Munich? No.
It's a movie I think Roger Corman produced.
Yeah.
And so it's
They're like weird little dudes in like space suits with like mohawks.
Katie, you'll see the poster art for it, and you're gonna be like, nope, hard pass. Because there's a Munchie stared up.
Oh,
it's
up a girl's dress. Oh
yeah,
my
it's just
God.
an upskirt.
I mean, to be fair, if you've seen Gremlins 2, it's relatively the same kind of shit happening in that movie.
These Munchies are also scary.
I'm gonna say less scary than leather.
You picked weird little guys movies, so
I know. I just was saying that they kind of look reptilian version of Gnorm.
They look like the Krites from Critters and Gremlins had like horrific little babies.
I haven't watched that movie in so long, so we'll absolutely circle back to that, I'm sure.
Yeah. I'm super excited for Pet Shop because I feel like this is like, I remember like catching it on TV and being like, this is so cute. I love it so much. And then I rewatched it like not recently, but like as an adult, and I still liked it. So it'd be interesting to see if it's just like a nostalgia thing or not.
I'm gonna have to see if I can find a fucking sort of non-horror, but maybe tangentially horror weird little guy movie now.
Yeah.
All right, that's on Tubi, right?
I believe so. It's Tubi or it's Amazon. I mean, one of the two.
I think Full Moon. It's almost everything. Is on.
Oh,
Tubi.
it's on Amazon also. Something called Crackle, the Roku channel, Sling, Zumo. It's everywhere.
Zumo? What the fuck is
everywhere
Zumo?
you want to be?
The people love Pet Shop.
Then
They're clamoring for more Pet Shop.
They are, and they should.
The late great Pet Shop.
All right, I'm stoked. I really thought you were going to do me dirty, Kit, and you redeemed yourself. So.
Yeah, just wait. Actually, like the movie, unless I find something different, I'm probably just gonna pick one of the 2 killer tomato movies we haven't done yet, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, we gotta do Killer Tomatoes Eat France, for sure.
Those are some weird little guys.
France.
Yeah, exactly.
Alright. If you'd like to support us, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/hypesufferpodcast. I believe the same week this episode is out, Katie and I recorded an episode on Batman, the Doom That Came to Gotham. Features a lot of tentacles. So, if you're a fucking creep, be excited.
Fair.
You can leave us a rating and review on iTunes and Spotify. You can follow us on Instagram at I Hope You Suffer Podcast. You can follow Kit at Hidden Kitstery and Kitrification of Blood. You can follow Katie at WerewolfFace. Join Katie's Patreon at patreon.com/WerewolfFace. You can listen to my other podcast, 8K Movie Club. Alright, we're heading to the pet shop. We're going to be some pet shop boys. Trademark I Hope You Suffer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hope there's some hookah with popo.
Oh my god, I just remember Garbage Pail
Fingers
Kids
crossed.
as a movie. We might have to do Garbage Pail Kids for Weird Little Guys, the weirdest little guys movie.
No,
They are.
that's true.
The movie is horrific.
I don't think I've seen that actually.
Oh my god, you will fucking hate it.
Oh no.
It's not even like in like a fucking like sexual way or whatever. It's just, it's upsetting. Everything in that movie is so upsetting to look at.
Well, obviously I'm familiar with the cards.
Oh,
so,
well, imagine the cards, but in 3D, and everybody's head is way too big, and like...
I imagine there's a lot of yelling.
Yeah, it's upsetting, so we'll definitely watch that.
Great.
Alright. Pet Shop next week. I hope you are not a gnome, but Gawai.
Zagnut.
Yeah, Zagnut.
Zagnut.
Gawai is really good.
Yeah.